What are buyers in today's market really looking for? Hi everyone, Chris Egan, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here. We've been in a competitive real estate market now for about the past 8 years, especially the last 3 to 5. So I thought we'd talk about why do some homes sit on the market while others will attract multiple offers. So specifically in this video, I'm going to focus on the first-time buyer as well as the move-up buyer. So that would be the person selling their first home and moving up. Maybe their family's growing, they need a little bit more space, etc. So we're going to focus on those two buyers in particularly because that's been the market that's been extremely competitive. In Omaha, we say that's usually up to about 300 to 350,000. Anything below that is our first-time buyer and move-up buyer range. So that's what this video is going to focus on. There are 3 things that will contribute to a buyer's buying decision. The first one is, if you've ever heard anybody say this in real estate, it's location, location, location. That's the one thing about real estate that you can't change. And that, whenever I sit down with a buyer for the first time, that's what we'll go over first, is where do you want to live? That will determine a lot of times what type of house you'll be buying, what the schools are, as well as price point as well. So location is the first thing that's most important. Besides a buyer's personal preference on location, whether they want to be close to shopping, schools, church, family, or whatever, the other thing that will help determine where they will buy is what type of home they want to have. In Omaha specifically, I can't speak to other markets, but in Omaha, a lot of times the type of home that they want will determine where they will live. Let me give you an example. Sometimes people will say to me, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage that's new or built after 2005, but I'd like to be in Midtown Omaha. Well, that doesn't really exist. There might be a few here and there, but if we want a home like that, we're going to have to go out typically to the suburbs somewhere where the new construction is. Other times people will be very specific about where they want to live. They might want to live in Benson, for example, or they want to be close to Blackstone or close to the Nebraska Medicine. There's a lot of different areas around town where people will say, I want to be within a few miles of this particular point, whether that's work or school. So we can always formulate the search around that area. And that's the most important thing, is the location. The second thing is condition. And condition is a funny thing because it doesn't necessarily mean that your home has to be remodeled from top to bottom like it was just featured on HGTV to get top dollar. A staged home that's been completely renovated from top to bottom, of course, never hurt any seller's chances of selling. However, it's not always completely necessary. The homes that'll typically sell the fastest and for top dollar are the ones that have removed all the clutter and are sparkling clean. That way the buyer can go through the home and they can imagine themselves living there. And that's what every buyer wants, is they want to go through a home and envision themselves, their family in that house. As far as what amenities buyers are looking for, there will be different expectations at different price points and also for different areas. But generally speaking, whatever the neighborhood homes are offering in that area, you want to be on par or slightly better with those homes. So for example, if every home in your neighborhood has granite countertops, we better be offering granite countertops as well to the buyer because they're going to expect that. If every house in the neighborhood has a 3/4 bathroom in the master, buyers want that as well. So the one oddball house that's set aside from that, that's going to be the one that the buyers will skip over. The other interesting thing that's happening in today's market, and this has changed since I first started in the real estate business, but buyers aren't so much going through homes and looking to see if they like a home as much as they are going through the home to verify what they believe is already true about the home. So let me explain what I mean by that. In today's information age where buyers have access to Zillow, the tax records, any other resource, Google Street View, Google Maps, they already have an expectation in their head of what that home is going to be like. So when they go through it, they are just verifying that it is what they thought it was. I've even had buyers tell me at the front door of a house, if this house is exactly what I think it was when I looked at it online, we're going to be putting in an offer on this house. We live in an amazing time where we have so much information at our fingertips that it really does cut out a lot of the legwork that you have to do when you're at a home for a buyer. They've already done that before they've even stepped foot in the house. Unfortunately, sometimes the technology does cut both ways, because I've seen homes that have phenomenal pictures and we walk into the house and the buyer will turn around and walk right back out because it was misrepresented. It wasn't quite as good as it looked online. Now, I said in the beginning that location matters most, and that's still true. However, number 3 does have the ability to trump number 1 and 2. And number 3 is price. Of course, every buyer in almost every market, or anyone buying anything for that matter, usually wants to pay the cheapest price possible. So yes, buyers want to pay the cheapest price. But I would say more importantly than the cheapest price, it boils down to value. Buyers want a good value for the money that they're paying for a home. Like I said earlier, buyers are more educated than they've ever been before. So they have all the data. Every possible point of information is at their fingertips at all times. So they want to know that what they're paying for in their home is a good value compared to what they could otherwise buy in another home. So buyers will be able to easily sniff out an overpriced home because the perceived value is not there. Most buyers will also be using a buyer's agent or buyer's representative to purchase a home. So that agent will typically go over comparable sales with them and absorption rates of neighborhoods. So they will be even more educated when it comes time to make an offer. I always like to say that pricing in residential real estate is definitely more of an art than it is a science, because we can have all the data and all the comparables in the world, and what it boils down to is we're still dealing with human emotions. And sometimes those are rational, sometimes they're irrational, but generally buyers are very educated in today's market, so they will know value when they see it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave any comments or questions below, and don't forget to like us and subscribe.